goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. To the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and honest, my rider. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. Cause I'm on to make everything feel fine. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the high, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, we can throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mags.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Load the Mag NUFC. We're back again for another big match preview, and it is a very big match preview. The massive game on Sunday at St James's Park, Newcastle United against Nottingham Forest, and we're going to get down to it and all the big talk about that game on Sunday because it means a lot for both teams. So let's get to it. But boys, how are we on this Thursday evening?
All good with me, Pete. I was in the office today, so not long back home. You were right. It is a massive match. And as we have in the poster, must win. Especially for us, must win. Nottingham Forest could probably get away with the draw, and that would be a great result away from home. But I think a win is vital for us. Something new actually as well for the chatters. I'm going to put the link. It's in the description as well and in the chat. We have something new. You could. Loads of people are saying, "Oh, we'll buy you a beer. We'll buy you a beer." Now you can, or maybe I'm imagining that. I'm not sure, but now you can. There's a link there in the chat for people to use if they ever want to buy us a beer. That'll be there forever. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Do you know what I think you're thinking of, Daz? I mean, I'm sure people would love to buy us a beer, and if you do, please do. But I think you're thinking of, is it Andrew DB, who always says, "I bet you a pint"? He says that an awful lot. Andrew, you must know about 10 pints, mate. Easy. But no, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I literally got in from footy about 9 minutes ago. So yeah, it's been a busy day in work. Played footy, really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good, and yeah, as you rightly say, a huge game on Sunday. I tell you what, it is literally going to be a Super Sunday, isn't it? On Sunday, ourselves and Nottingham Forest, and then obviously Man City, Liverpool to contend with. So two very, very good games on Sunday. But yeah, we obviously all the focus will be on our game, which is quite clearly the most important game. I don't think Sky Sports will think the same, but it clearly is. But yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Pete, how are you doing, fella? You all good?
Not too bad. Yeah, just looking at some of the most recent news that's just come out from Newcastle United. There's some breaking news is that two players have extended their contracts at Newcastle United. So Emil Kraft has extended for another year, and Martin Dubravka has extended his contract for another year at Newcastle United. So big decisions are being made at the club in preparations for the summer. And boys, what to make of that really quickly before we get our guest in?
Interesting.
Yeah, no, happy with that. I guess if things between now and the end of the season didn't work out for Dubravka, because there's even talk now that maybe Pope might sneak back in there again into the number one spot. But if it didn't, then it means he has a sell-on value as well, which he wouldn't have if he hadn't signed the extension. But I'm sure the idea is that he will be with us next year. Still want to know a new number one, no matter what, come the summer. And Kraft, always dependable when called upon, and he's seems to be a good lad to have around the squad, and so makes sense with both of them, I guess.
Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, do you know what, mate? Literally first time I've seen that. So yeah, it's interesting. Very, very pleased. Emil Kraft signed a contract extension. I think he's a really good. He epitomises, I think, the level of squad utility player we should have. I think whenever he comes in, he tends to do a job. He's not someone who complains when he's not starting. I think he's liked around the dressing room. There's nothing not to like. I mean, he can play multiple positions: right back, right wing back, centre back. He can fill in. So no, I think that's a really good one. In terms of Martin Dubravka, I think it's quite telling. As Daz has rightly said, it doesn't necessarily mean he will definitely stay, but it just secures the club in terms of, you know, if he was to leave in the summer, if there was interest, he would command a fee now. Or if you look at it on the other way, it could be that, you know, Newcastle are putting the faith in Martin Dubravka and saying, you know, we want you to kind of challenge for that number one spot next season. So now I suppose the question marks would be around the likes of Pope, Lacademos, possibly Ruddy Gillespie, but I've got my own feelings on them. But yeah, so it's interesting, mate, and I think it's good that the club are thanks, Lord. It's good that the club are moving forward and securing players who there is a little bit of uncertainty around. So no, I think it's all good, mate.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And yeah, to answer that question about a new number one, it looks like a new number one is coming in. Craig Hope reports tonight that James Trafford is the guy that's going to be coming to Newcastle United, and it looks like he will be signing without a hitch, in the words of Craig Hope. So it looks like James Trafford will be our number one next season.
Well, I'm delighted. I finally get to use the poster I've had there for a year. Brilliant.
We
Good
will
news.
Hopefully
Good
be
news.
using it at some point. But until then, we've got lots to talk about.
Coffee, by the way.
Oh.
Lisa's bought me a coffee. Anyone else want to buy coffee?
I've got water, but if anyone wants to get me a brandy instead of a beer,
Yeah.
feel free to do.
There's no icon for a brandy, Pete. Sorry.
I like that.
That's all right. But look, someone that we won't be getting a beer for just yet, not until after Sunday, maybe around 4 o'clock, is our guest today. And it's a pleasure to welcome back in Nottingham Forest fan from Forest Fans TV. Let's get in Wolfie.
Welcome, Wolfie.
Good evening, boys.
How you doing?
No, it's Thursday today. I didn't. By the way, if any of our lot are watching, our forum's not happening today because I literally thought it was like Wednesday. So it's been a long week, boys. It's been a long week. How are you, boys? How are you?
We're good. I'm not too bad.
Chris, can see you enjoying that coffee, mate. Yeah.
Mate, I'm just relaxed. I'm relaxed for Sunday, mate.
Are you seriously that relaxed? That you can't see down here, but my legs are like shaking just thinking about it and what have you. Pete depressed me on our preview the other day that we got on our channel. He made me more nervous. He was all in there showing chest, being like, you know, Pete, all cocky and stuff. Like I said, it's guaranteed win.
If anyone believes that, then you're mad, because you just have to go and watch that preview to know that it was nothing like that at all.
You gotta admit, I didn't show any chest, man, because I was in a dark place when we were recording. It was like we've lost to Fulham, Forest are doing a Forest, but then, boys, that ray of light yesterday, Aston Villa. Shout out to our fellow Midlands club. That little ray of light's got me like recalculating stuff. Like, could it still happen? Is it not gonna happen? I don't know, man. But yeah, it's a huge week this week in the Premier League in general. You guys have got us. Obviously, we've got you. You got the other two, Liverpool, Man City. Then you've got Liverpool midweek. We've got Arsenal midweek. And then we got Man City at the weekend as well. I think we start to figure out a lot of stuff come this time next. Well, maybe, you know what I'm saying? At the end of next week, we'll kind of have better pictures of where our clubs are and how it's going to all play out. But yeah, it's going to be a long week, boys.
And I'll tell you what, Wolfie, just to add into that, I think, you know, worst case scenario, we've got our allegiance. Worst case scenario, for yourself, we win at the weekend. I don't know about you, mate, but I really think Liverpool absolutely bastard City. I really do.
You reckon?
Yeah. Mate,
You know
they were literally waving the white flag against Real, mate. City.
Mm.
Like just completely gone. Just completely gone. I think Liverpool. I think Liverpool turn up on Sunday. Really do.
You see what's interesting, Chris? I did the maths on this. If Man City beat Liverpool,
Yeah.
then the title is in Arsenal's hands.
Really?
Yeah. Because if Arsenal win their games in hand, they're 2
Right.
points behind them. And remember, they've still got to play Liverpool. I know it's at Anfield,
Right. Okay.
but you see what I mean? So technically,
Wow.
it would get to the stage where Arsenal can claim the title's in their hands. Yes, it's still a long shot.
That's
But
mad.
the fact, I think psychologically, that's a big thing for Arsenal.
Yeah, it is.
Because 3-4 weeks ago, ain't no one going to say the title's in their own hands, apart from Liverpool. If Man City win that game, I think the psychology game starts, and we're really getting into those final, furlongs in this race. So
Do you see yourself in that race then? Because I know you've been talking it big, saying you're in a title race, and then on top table talk, you're waving the white flag. Is that flag down at this moment in
I
time?
didn't
I know you
wave
said
it.
it's a big week, but
I didn't wave it. I had it out.
genuinely
You
feeling that?
know what I'm saying? The white flag was out. It just wasn't waving yet, right? If they'd held on against Villa yesterday, I'd be waving. Look, is it a long shot? Of course it is, man. But I hate to bring it up, but there have been bigger leads that have been lost. I won't say who, but we know who I'm talking about. We won't go there. So it can happen. I just think for Forest to have any hope of it, we got to beat you. We got to beat Arsenal. We got to beat Man City, and then maybe game on. Even with that, Pete, we'll probably still be 5 points behind Liverpool when it all shakes up. But I think any team that's within 2 wins of whoever's at top, that's when it starts to get tasty, because that team could then play first, cut the point gap down to 2 before, say, Liverpool play on a Sunday, for example, and then the pressure starts to build. Are we right now sitting here in a shout for it? No. Are we in a title race? Loosely. But I think it's Liverpool's to lose, boys. I think if Liverpool lose this is a bigger bottle job than what we saw with Arsenal 2 seasons ago.
Mate, I will be gobsmacked, and you know what? I will be a believer then. I will be a believer if Man City turn over Liverpool, because we've seen the draw, obviously, haven't we, against Villa, and it was. I always have a joke in our house. I always say, like, watching Liverpool is almost like watching like a bad musical. There's all the drama, but you know what's going to happen at the end. You just fucking know. And even last night when I was watching it, I was like, they're going to score. They're going to score. And they had a couple of really good chances. Thank you, Darwin Nunes. A couple of really good chances, mate. And did you see? Oh, by the way, did you see his quote today? One of the blue lads posted it in the group. I was laughing, saying, Darwin Nunes say something like, 1 minute I'm the best in the world, and the next minute I'm the worst. And everyone was like, no one ever said you were the best in the world, mate. I don't know where you got that from.
Yeah, but to be fair to him, do you remember when he first came to Liverpool and they were just gaslighting it, him versus Haaland, Liverpool fans? I haven't heard much of that lately. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Mate, there was an article. Sorry, I know I'm segueing here. There was an article yesterday. My mate posted it to me. I think it was on BBC Gossip column, and it was like the way it was phrased. I'm trying to remember. It was so patronising. It was something along the lines of Liverpool will consider sacrificing Darwin Nunes in order to get Alexander Isak. And it was like, sorry, what? They're doing us a favour. If they got Isak, we could have Nunes, and we should be grateful.
It winds me up that they can sit there and talk about your players as if they can pay him what you guys could technically pay him. That you've built the team around him. That Liverpool team, depending on what Salah does, is kind of built around him. So the entitlement of this big 6, boys, and that's why I'm so proud of our alliance. You know what I'm saying? We're shaking them up. Whenever I'm on other channels and I dare to talk about Forest doing well, it's sit back in your seat and stay in your lane. It's like I'm not gonna. We're shaking it up.
They're not used to it. That's the problem. They don't like it. They don't like the fact that the status quo has been dismantled a little bit. And you only have to look over the last 3 years. We started effectively that process, getting Champions League football. Villa have continued it, and then they expected it to revert back to type. And the fact that you're in there fighting in that cause, but not just that, we're in the mix. Okay, we're 7th at the moment, but we're in the mix. But Bournemouth are there as well. You've got Villa that are there or thereabouts, not far behind us. You've got Fulham that are starting to ask a few questions. There's a few teams now that are changing the mindset, and that's effectively what's put Man United and Tottenham down as far as they are in the league, because other teams are now beating them and being more consistent. So it can only be a good thing. But you mentioned about your form just a second, because I was looking at your form, and you're very similar to us. You've lost what, two out of the last 3 in the league. Are you worried that indifferent form is going to continue moving forward? Because you've just said you got a massive week. You got us, you got Arsenal, you got Man City. Could that potentially, if that week goes wrong, could that potentially derail your season? And we've seen it with other teams before. They get a multiple of losses. They see that picture of a title race is what a lot of fans have been calling that isn't quite there, and it starts to spiral out of control. Can you see it potentially doing that?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's too bunched up between the top. I don't know how far we go down, even top 8. And we're a Villa 9th. You could even go down to 9th. Probably 3 out of the 4 hardest teams we're playing in this week that are in the league. Just Liverpool missing from that, in my opinion. And it could go wrong. Look, 2 of them are at home. That makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know why. I just feel we'll beat Arsenal. I'm not confident about Sunday, and I'm not sure what to expect with City. They're so indifferent at the moment. They look brilliant against you, and like you were saying, Chris, they were waving the white flag yesterday against Madrid. Like, you don't know what's going to come from City. But even if we were to take a triple L, then look, I'll be like blowing smoke out my ears if that happens. But once I've calmed down, the bigger picture is most of the rest of our games are against bottom half teams. Yeah. And I think our 2 hardest games left would be Villa away and Spurs away. The rest of them are pretty winnable. And we've seen, you guys have seen when Newcastle earlier on this season went on that indifferent run. You dropped down a bit, but then a couple of wins back to back got you back up. I think, did you guys get back up as high as 4th at one point? I think it was. So it's just too inconsistent in the Premier League for us to have to worry about it. If we go triple L, we're 100% out of the title. Even I can't gaslight that one, right? But it won't be us out of. I'll find some kind of clause or something. But I just think that the top 5 race is still wide open. But the other way, if I was a positive fan, which I'm not usually, is if we were to get 5 to 7 points out of these next 3 games, then I think that cements us at least in the top 4. I think that's enough, especially when you've got those matches would have been against teams in and around us. Look, on average, you need, I think it's 68 points to finish in the top 5. We're about 20 points away from that. So we're looking at 5 wins, a few draws, something like that. And we've still got those lower league teams to play. So, there's plenty of swings and roundabouts still. It's just a case of, and the other thing to note is that no one in and around short of Liverpool have been consistent in their performances. There's been a lot of random L's being picked up from the teams in and around us, sometimes the teams you're not expecting it. So, yeah, but it's a big week, boys.
Guys, you were going to say something. What were we going to say?
Oh, yeah, no, it was back about 10 minutes ago, and I was like, it was really linked to Chris. It was like, I was going to say that Chris is, you said you'd be shocked if Liverpool blow it at this stage. And I was going to say, you also said that the other day, when you said I'd be shocked if you can guess who I'm just after bumping into at the train station. And I got it right first go.
Mate, you got it.
I don't know
how.
You got it. I said that could be anyone in the world.
And he got it.
Yeah, I got it. But tell us about this as well, Chris, because that's big news as well.
Boys, honestly, it was proper weird. I think I was explaining it to you in the green room, wasn't I? But for anyone who hasn't seen it on X, I've had to shave as well, by the way. For anyone who hasn't seen it on X, I was in work in Liverpool in the city centre. finished work and I was walking out with, funnily enough, a fan of Loaded, one of my mates who I work with, and he's a Newcastle fan and he watches Loaded. And I was saying to him, "Oh, we had Kieran Maguire on last night." And he was like, "Oh, was he talking about that APT thing?" I was like, yeah. So you should give the show a watch anyway. We were gabbing through it and all that, blah, 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 blah. And I missed my train. And I was like, but I thought, never mind. We're talking about Newcastle, talking about Loaded, worthwhile. I'm sure Lisa will understand, no problem. So I goes to the train station, and then I thought, well, it's now 13 minutes till my next train because I missed my other one. So I thought, I'll just stand outside. So I was outside having a vape. And then, weirdly, and then I was literally on my WhatsApp, looking at my phone, going on the Loaded chat. And then I looked up and walking past, I seen Kieran Maguire. And I was like, nah. And I went, Kieran. And he looked at me. And then went over, gabbing away. Lovely, lovely fella. As we all know anyway, we all know Kieran Maguire is a lovely fella. But yeah, I was gabbing away to him. And I thought, what are the odds of that? Like, literally, my mind was blown last night. Couldn't believe it. And it turns out he lives right by where I seen him as well. So big shout out to Kieran. I'm sure he's watching from somewhere. But yeah, lovely, lovely to meet him. Big friend of the channel. And yeah, it was such a coincidence. But lovely, lovely to meet him in person.
Nice one. Bit of a segue, but we'll get back on track now.
I gotta say, you look good with that beard.
Do you think so? My wife doesn't like it, and I thought,
oh yeah,
do you think so?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll
grow it for next time,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Andy says, what Wolfie means is up the tricky trees. So he's took your talk around Forest and their potential title race, potential top four is he's taken it as a form of positivity. And thanks for your super chat there as well. So look, from a Newcastle perspective, this is a massive game. Well, Wolfie, we're in pursuit of Champions League. We're not quite at that title race talk yet, like you are. What do you make of Newcastle United of this season and their pursuit for Champions League? Is it a possibility? Have you seen anything to suggest that it might not work out the way that we want it to as fans?
I've been impressed with Newcastle in terms of where you are-ish. I think you should be higher. If I'm being objective about it. I've always said to you guys, you have the best midfield in the Premier League, in my opinion. I like your fullbacks. I think they've both come in. Hall's looking good. And I just think you should be higher, but you've been inconsistent. And I'm not one who really believes in history repeating itself, but you are starting to see the patterns of 2 years ago after you got to the League Cup final. I know, Pete, we've discussed it at length many a time, and I do worry about that slightly because then you have to start questioning the mentality of the players. Are they seeing that as a box ticked? We got to the final. We can focus on that. Whereas you need these players to be thinking in 3D. You've got this cup, you've got the league, still in the FA Cup. There's still a lot of plates being juggled in the air. And have they got that mentality to kind of make sure they're 100% in every single one of those competitions? And I think you'll find out about that in the next couple of weeks leading up to the Cup. But I would like to see you get top four. I would objectively like to see you win the Cup as long as Forest don't capitulate and need that position back in the league for the European spots. And I think that's fair to say. I can see Daz giving me a few evil glares there, but I'm looking at it from my perspective. If I had no horse in the race, I'd love to see you in the Cup.
I'd also love to see Forest as well as ourselves in the Champions League.
Exactly.
It'd be great.
In an ideal world for me, us two get top four, you guys win the Cup. We meet let's have a final in the FA Cup as well. We got to get revenge. And remember, if you do win that Carabao Cup, you have two people to thank. Taiwo Awoniyi and Ibrahim Sangare. Let's not forget, right? That was, I know it feels a long time ago, but, that was one of the reasons you were behind in that penalty shootout. So fine margins, as our mate Chris Hughton would always say. So, yeah, I think you should be doing better, but it's okay. It's okay. Do you know what I mean? It's like you haven't had what you had last year. I think your issue last year was those injuries. It's been a bit better this season. I just from a Forest perspective, hope Joe Linton isn't fit for Sunday because he ripped us a new one at the City Ground, man. I think he's been really good in that three.
He's not going to be fit for Sunday again because A couple of bits of team news is that Joelinton will be fit in 2 weeks. So he'll be fit just before the cup final. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And there is question marks around Sven Botman. They're not sure if he's going to be fit for Sunday either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is.
That's a
Does
massive.
that change the level of your chest, Pete, from when we did our preview?
Being honest, yeah, it does. Sven Botman is our best centre back. There's no doubt about it. And they expected him to be fit for Man City. He didn't quite make it, but they're a little bit concerned that his knee injury is not recovered in the way they wanted to. Now it does say he's a doubt for the game. Not saying he's not fit at all. Now they're hoping that he's going to train, whether he's trained today or in tomorrow, Saturday, because we don't play till Sunday. They're going to give him as much chance as possible to be fit. But
well, Sophie in the chat, who's the most reliable source I've ever seen on Newcastle, says that we're not in training. Shout out to Sophie. That's
yeah,
feel a little better.
And that was part of it. So Joelinton won't be because he's got a couple of weeks until he's back fit. But with Botman, they said they were going to give him a couple of days because we don't play till Sunday, so it'll be Friday, Saturday. They'll probably give him the opportunity to prove his fitness. But yeah, it'll be a big miss for that. I mean,
can I pick up a player? By the
way, does it raise yours, Wolfie? Knowing that those two players
not really, bro. I just got a bad feeling about Sunday.
Don't do this because you do this.
I'm not doing it.
You're
man.
doing what other clubs do.
No. You ask my lot, right? Anytime we lose, I think we're getting relegated. Anytime we win, I think we're winning the league. Like, there's no middle ground when it comes to me on these things, you know. But I just want to big up one of your players who I think's a bit of an unsung hero. I know he had a stinker against Man City, but let's face it, who didn't? Yeah. Is Murphy, because I think he's had a really good season, and he's like, you know, that date you've settled for because you didn't get the girl you wanted. I feel a bit sorry for him sometimes, right? It's like, you know, Newcastle fans still want a new right winger, but I think he's done a great job this season, scored some key goals and everything, and it must be hard on him because he knows he's not that level anymore. You know what I mean? And he knows that probably the fan base are like, who's next? You had the links with Alanga in the summer and everything. But he's been pretty reliable for you boys this season. I think he needs a little bit of praise and a little bit of love. And I think he's been all right for you. I don't know from the inside how you guys thought about his season, but he's one that's always had his card marked for me in the Geordie fan base as if he's not good enough. But I think as a backup and someone who steps in, when he steps in, I think he does a job for you guys.
That's what do you think, Murphy?
I'm his biggest fan. I'll follow him until he loves me. Jacob Murphy. That's a new tune. He's new chant. Yeah, that's something like that. It's around the country. I knew it was close. Love it, Chris. I knew you should have deferred that one to you.
I've done enough singing on this channel. I've done enough.
Back for Murphy here, man. What? Come on, man. The guy's putting in a shift for you. Like if you didn't have him, who would you have put there? You know what I'm saying?
No, he has done a job for us this season, and like in fairness, we still want a new right winger come the summer, but he has done a job for us, and his link up with Isaac has been incredible as well. He's put in some a right winger who can cross the ball as well. And he's got plenty of assists. I don't know how many games we on the trot we're saying Murphy with assist again. It was mainly you, Pete, putting it in our chat every time we scored. But so he's done well. And he next season though he'd be a good squad player. He has a kind of joker kind of character as well in the dressing room. I know he's part of the kind of leadership group, but he's good to have.
I'm just not feeling love. I mean, Pete looks like I've sworn at him or something. Was it Murphy, man?
I've been massively impressed with Jacob Murphy. Look, for me, he's in a selection of players that I look at. I mean, Jacob Murphy's one, Joe Willock's another, Sean Longstaff's another. Is that you see what you get? They are limited players. They are
agreed.
only going to give you so much, and the great thing about it is that in a season where we've needed a right winger to step up, and Miggy certainly didn't, Jacob Murphy has, and Jacob Murphy's gone above and beyond what anybody's expected of him this season. So even when, for example, he doesn't play well against Man City, I can't be mad at him because of what he's already produced for us this season. I'm not going to go mad and expect the world from him because we know his limitations. But you're absolutely right, Wolfie. I agree with you. I think he's had a fantastic season. I think he's got the affections of the Newcastle United fans now. They've got a song for him, which he's been asking for a while now, probably for a year. Because he's got the links to the club in the region. His family are from Newcastle. He's got that link there. He was brought up as a Newcastle fan, him and his twin brother. So he deserves all the praise that he's going to get. But if we're going to expect him to do it every week and to go on next season and the season after and reproduce this, then I don't see it. I don't.
I agree with that.
The right winger. 100%.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I just respect someone who can like step in and just get on with the job. Do you know what I mean? Like when you've got the likes of Isak on your team, Bruno and Tonali and those, they're all stealing the headlines. But I just think he's quietly gone about his business, and just come in and slipped in to that right side where you guys have had a problem for it ever since Miggy, as they call him up there, went out of that purple patch. You've never really addressed it. And I know you boys have complained about the recruitment on that side. And I just think, he just needs a couple of flowers. And that's why I just wanted to, if he scores on Sunday now, I swear to God, I will lose my crap, man, after I've praised him.
Beat
but
him up.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope
what? I just didn't realize what I'd done, man.
Yeah. Don't worry, it can be clipped, and I hope Murphy is the first goal scorer on Sunday, and I'll be messaging you straight away, just reminding you of this conversation. But and I want to bring up not necessarily a player, but your manager, Nuno, is starting to get a lot of praise now from a lot of opposition fans and clubs for the job that he's done. He's done a superb job at your club. However, I have noticed a little sort of jink in that armor recently. A few mumbles of concern, a few frustrations with the way in which he's organising your team. You still got total faith in your manager, or is there a few cracks starting to appear within that sort of like perfect painted picture that we've seen most of this season?
For me, Nuno's done one of the best jobs I've seen in a long time at Forest. Obviously, Cooper did amazing getting us up from the bottom of the Championship into the Premier League. But jumping from where we were last season, 17th, to now sitting in and around 3rd in the Premier League, which we all claim is the best league in the world, is a huge jump. I mean, you guys kind of had it when you were sitting bottom of the league and looked favourites for relegation and you jumped up, so there's been similar stories. So what he's done is out of this world for me. I mean, I thought Forest at best could finish 8th this season when I predicted it before the start. But to be 3rd and in around these places, I think the biggest compliment you can pay him is that if Forest don't finish in the Champions League spots, I'm going to be disappointed. And that may sound arrogant, and there will be Forest fans saying, remember where we came from and what have you, but I mean it as a compliment for what he's done. My gripe, that's probably too strong a word, is the patterns that happen in Forest matches are, if we take the lead, more times than not, we go on to win the match, or at the very least, not lose it. Where I feel Nuno struggled is on two major things. When we go behind in a game, he doesn't know how to change it up quick enough or react or change from this mid-block counter-attack football into a bit of a higher press, higher energy game. And that's why first goals in Forest games are so key. The other thing I've had issue, and I use the word lightly with, is his timing on substitutions. Now, I'm sure every single fan from every single fan base in the Premier League will say the same thing about their manager. He didn't react quick enough. The subs were too late. He didn't make this sub. Why did he do that? I've seen with Nuno, I saw it happen a lot last year. Too late to react to substitutions. And then for a good chunk of this season, he's been getting it right. And then there's been these few games where we have lost the game, like against Fulham, where he reacted either as that goal went in the case of Fulham last week, and did the changes that we could all see at halftime needed to be made, or it's just more reactive than proactive. So those are my concerns with him. Look, you can critique any manager. Pep could be critiqued this season, and he's one of the greatest of all times. So when I'm critiquing him from a position of, wow, look what he's done. Imagine he got these couple of small details right. What else could we get out of him? Look, the style of football he employs, I've always admitted it's not my kind of thing when it comes to watching a football match. But you have to watch Nuno ball differently. You have to see it as a tactical match. The way he suckers a team out, creates traps, creates an overload here, then springs a counter attack. When you look at it from that mindset, it makes it a fascinating watch from the tactical perspective. You're never going to get tiki-taka football, high press, win the ball high up in the other opposition's half. So that's not his style. And something I say is there's 20 teams in the Premier League. There's Man City and Pep. There's 18 other managers trying to be Pep. And then you've got Nuno. Because I think his style is old school. He sticks to the fundamentals. He is such an advocate of defending and keeping clean sheets. And I agree with that philosophy. You keep a clean sheet and then you can build on it. It takes the pressure off the strikers, knowing that if they get a chance and put it away, that could win the match. Or if they miss a chance, it doesn't necessarily mean the pressure's high because they'll trust the defense, to keep the ball out the net. So there are things that can be improved on, as with every manager. But the job he has done at Forest, for me, he's manager of the season if the season ends today. I think that turnaround is that big. And, people are talking about our players in such a high regard now. That's off the back of him. But his biggest positive for me is what he did with your boy, Chris Wood. Chris Wood was one of the worst strikers I've ever seen come into the club under Cooper. He was so bad. It was like he'd put roots down in the middle of the City ground. He just didn't move. He couldn't score. He couldn't do anything. And then with Nuno's football, it reminds me of, he's not like Raul Jimenez, but when he had him at Wolves, you could see similar traits of how he got the best out of him and stuff. And I've just felt that setup of Nuno suits Chris Wood. And then you've just seen him flourish. I mean, obviously he got the hat trick in one of the first games, which ended up being against you guys last season. And then he just kicked on ever since. And it's unbelievable, the turnaround in Wood.
Chris, Nuno, manager of the season, would he be yours if you had to pick now your manager of the season?
Do you know what? Wolfie raises a really fair point, because it would be hard to argue against Nuno, because, like you say, the resurgence, the fact that where they've come from to where they are now, it would be hard to disagree. And do you know what? I'll be honest. When Wolfie said it, I was thinking, Slot will be hard because he's come in, brand new to the league. He's arguably made Liverpool look even better. You could say that the league's been poorer. You could say that he's using 99% of Klopp's players. So there is an argument. I think it is a straight shootout between between Slot and Nuno. Do you know what though? I think Wolfie's persuaded me. I think if it was to end tomorrow, I think it would be Nuno, and I think he'd deserve it as well. Because the biggest argument is, as I've just mentioned, the fact that yes, Slot's come in, done a great job, but he's almost kind of continued what Klopp's done. Whereas Nuno's had to come in, he's had to get everyone together, he's had to sort out not a mess, but he's had a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. I think at the start of the season, there was a lot of people saying that Forest were, effectively down, or they were going to be right down there. And the fact that they are where they are. And I was one of the people, Wolfie, you remember me saying it a few months ago, saying, you'll drop off. And we're still having this conversation now. You're still in third. Nuno's proven everyone wrong. And now it's just looking at the next, 12, 13 games and thinking, can he do it? Can he carry on through? And yeah, there's been a couple of poor results, but yeah, I think if it was getting given out tomorrow, I think it will go to Nuno. I think it would.
Yeah, I think Iriola's another one. As much as I
Yeah,
hate to say
yeah,
about Bournemouth,
yeah,
he's one that
yeah,
needs
yeah.
consideration for taking a club that small and pathetic to being fifth in the league. And then the other one I really like is Marco Silva, boys. I honestly rate
Yeah,
him.
Fulham.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look, and I'm not a massive fan of Fulham, they're a bit of a bogey club for us, but the way he's got players who are washed up, and I mean that respectfully to them, like your Iwobi's, Traore destroyed us the other day, and he seems to be able to get a tune out of whatever's given to him. Because you see what they're saying about Amorim now at Man U, it's like, oh, he needs his new team, he needs players that can fit in. I look at Marco Silva. I think if he was given those Man U players, I guarantee you they wouldn't be 15, be it at Fulham or be it at Man U. He's a manager who can coach, and he can coach a philosophy. So, I think a lot of respect needs to go to Marco Silva.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Pete, who would you give it to? Oh, sorry, Zaz, go on, mate. Go on.
Yeah, no, I'm going to bring it back to Nuno again because not only give him that, but I'm going to give him a Nobel Peace Prize as well for what he's done for getting Chris Wood working. Like, how many times you guys, you're sick of listening to me giving out about Chris Wood, and then he just turns into a totally different player altogether. And then obviously the hat trick he scored last Christmas 2 years ago or whatever. But it just absolutely amazing. Two things I want to touch on before we move on. Doug, thanks very much for the super chat. And he says, in support of the Alliance, a Newcastle fan from Colorado, I never miss a Loaded Bank episode and love me some Wolfie. Most entertaining YouTuber around. Now, Wolfie.
Much love, Doug. My parents were in Colorado a few months back. They said it's the most beautiful place they've been to in America.
No, right.
Yeah, Aspen. They were bigging up Aspen. I'm pretty sure that was in Colorado.
All
I thought about was Dumb and Dumber. That's all I could think about.
A little place called Aspen.
A little place called Aspen. Where the women flow like wine. No, I couldn't.
Don't stop me on these doing number quotes. We could be here all night. In the boys, it was
Doug in Aspen. That'd be amazing if he is.
That would be class. But just one word on the Alliance. Is it still strong, Wolfie? Are we still fighting the good fight together? But besides our match on Sunday.
I mean, yeah, the swords come out on Sunday, of course they do. But outside of that, boys, we have to hold firm because I'm seeing the way this Cartel 6 is being rattled by us, by you, by Villa to a certain extent. I know they've dropped off slightly. And it's scaring them. The narrative goes from you guys last season, oh, you got in the Champions League, you blew it, you won't be able to redo it again, and what have you, to us being you're going to drop off. Now the narrative is, oh, you'll be back in a relegation fight next year, which means they've conceded this season as far as I'm concerned. So I see that as a compliment. But football needs this. We cannot have a Premier League that has 20 teams with only 5 out of the 6, because I don't class Spurs as a Cartel 6, competing for the honours. It can't be like this. Yeah. There has to be some balance. They have to open the taps to allow your boys to spend the money they want to spend. And I don't care if they want to go and put $1 billion into your club tomorrow to buy the players, more power to them. There's got to be a way to allow Marinakis to spend the money he wants to spend on Forest, because it is not fair that pre these PSR rules that Abramovich got to come in and buy Chelsea towards titles, that Man City had the Arabs coming in to buy them titles. But when it came to you guys getting taken over, it's like 7's too many. We're happy at 6. Let's add, these rules in 3 days after the takeover goes on. I can't imagine something like that going to a court in the UK and not being seen as discrimination against a club or a person. It's unbelievable that things like this are allowed. It's because we let them govern themselves. It just blows your mind, doesn't it, that the Premier League votes on the Premier League rules? Like, where's the independent the independency on it? And while you've got those 6 with their power, it won't change. But what we're doing is changing it on the pitch, both Forest, Newcastle, Villa, etc. And my worry is, what the hell happens if we do break this Cartel 6? Are they going to find some more rules to add to us to try and keep the likes of Forest and Newcastle down? Because they won't like it. Imagine if Man United got relegated this season. What would the Premier League do? The revenue they'd miss out. I know. God. It arouses me.
This is football. This is what I keep saying. The people, when I speak to opposition fans, particularly those in the cartel, they don't get it. This is what football is. You go back 20, 30 years when the Premier League first started, and you look at the teams like Swindon in the Premier League, and you look at teams like Ipswich fighting. We came from the old Championship and finished third in our first season. You know, you had Ipswich doing the same. Forest were up there challenging.
We won the league, yeah.
What you had is a genuinely competitive league where anybody in any given season could be up there and challenge. I remember there was one season where Sheffield Wednesday went 7 games unbeaten, and they were bang up there. They didn't finish at the top, but they had a decent season off the back of that. You had any team that was able to have a jump and have a good season off it. And what they've created for so many years is a 6 that just dominate. This is the key now, is that it's allowing other people to have a go. For me, the first things first, Richard Masters has to go. Richard Masters has to be relieved of his duty. And the reason being is because the cartel picked him to be in charge in the first place. When you're getting those top clubs to choose who they want to lead the Premier League, tells you there's a problem right from the beginning. So first and foremost, he needs to go. There needs to be someone there that's independent, that's right bang down the middle, and it needs to be made clear that that's the case, and someone that's not going to be easily influenced by those top teams. And then I think you'll get a little bit of parity, you'll get a little bit of balance in there in certain decisions that are being made. And I think they're just a couple of things that need to change. But you're right, we've got the APT stuff that we've talked about this week, and will continue to be talked about probably up until the end of the season, that could change things. You know, you got 2 clubs here. There's been rumoured over the last couple of days that Newcastle United's finances are now back to where we were when we first took over, and that we're in a really strong position to go hard this summer. And then you've got someone like Forest, you've got Marinakis, who has got money that he's willing to pump into his club. So why should that be allowed to happen?
Do you know something to add to it? Which when we spoke with Kieran, he brought this up, and I'd never thought about it. I don't know if he's addressed it with you, but I know we blame the Cartel 6 for a lot of things, and rightly so. But there is also a group in the Premier League who like PSR, and it's not the Cartel 6. And when he talks me through, I was like, Kieran, you're crazy. And then when you think about it, it makes complete logical sense. Now, I'm not labeling it as these teams. I'm talking these positions from 12 to 17. Your regulars there, your Evertons, your Crystal Palaces, teams like that. Now, why do they like it? Because they know, and what Kieran is, and I'm doing a bad job explaining of it, but when a team comes up from the Championship, they will struggle to compete financially with those teams that they would be targeting, as Pete was talking about in the old days. And therefore, the securement of the Premier League is more likely for that bunch of teams. Again, I'm not naming teams. I'm just kind of talking about who's there. And therefore, they like PSR because it protects them from dropping out of the Premier League. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. Kieran explained it a lot better, but do you get what I mean? It's like there's another band within that are getting away with that thought process because we target the Cartel 6 so much.
Yeah. So you've got like your... Oh, sorry, Pete. Go on, mate.
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, so you've got your top 6 who want to keep it as it is. Yeah. Then you've got your bottom group who kind of, like you've just rightly said, and you know, it made perfect sense what you said, Wolfie. And then you've got your clubs who are like almost lower than 6, but higher than 12. And they're the ones who want to compete and they want to try and get into that top 6. Yeah. And there's no threat at the moment of relegation. So they want to try and prosper. But it totally makes sense what you said, because you're right. Because let's say, for example, a Sheffield, I couldn't believe it the other day. I heard on the radio, Sheffield United were being spoken about, and they were like, "Oh, Sheffield United, you know, they're nearly at the top of the Championship." And I was like, "Oh, you're messing," because we know what's going to happen. If Sheffield United ends up getting promoted automatically, they're coming straight back down. they're going straight back down because they can't. They haven't got the players, have they? And they won't be able to spend the money in order to stay in the league. And obviously, those clubs between 12 and 17, if you were talking about, will be looking at them coming up, thinking, yeah, they're the cannon fodder for next season.
Exactly. And their restrictions are tighter. I mean, we had it when you come up, instead of having 35 million loss per year, you only get 13 million loss. And because we hadn't been in the Premier League for 3 years, then your loss is 13 times 3. It's not until this season where Forest have now cleared those 13s or 18s, whatever it is, and we're 35, 35, 35. So you can lose 105 now at Forest. And let's be real, we're still, boys, talking about losing over 100 million as being acceptable. Like, why isn't it 0? If it's all about profit and sustainability, it's just mind-baffling how they come to these things.
My mate's a Sheffield United fan. He goes home and away, and he absolutely hates the Premier League season when they're in the Premier League. Hates it. He'll still go week in, week out, but he hates it. He is loving every minute of this season. Even if they were kind of like in the playoffs or in and around the playoffs, even if they weren't fighting at the top of the table, he'd still love it. Going week in, week out, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. More competitive, enjoyable because they're actually winning matches and scoring goals, and it's not just, turning up knowing you're going to get spanked 3, 4, 5. In Newcastle's case, 8-0. He doesn't. Who would want to turn up to that knowing that you're going to get relegated? For an Ipswich, it's a little bit different. They've not been in the Premier League for a long time, so they're embracing it. But if that continued up and down, you get. I mean, Burnley, for example, we throw Burnley in that mix. Burnley, up, down. Yeah,
West Brom used to be like that as well.
Yeah, Norwich as well. Norwich,
they could literally be the next West Brom. In being that up, down, and it's like, who's to say Leicester are not going to be that team? Leicester won the Premier League 8 years ago or whatever. Now they're just being that sort of yo-yo team, and I
think that's what we're going to see, boys. I think there's going to be this like Bermuda Triangle of teams that will always win the championship and always get relegated. And it'll be like 6 or 7 teams. So the 3 that come up will be replaced by 3 that go down, and vice versa over the years. And this isn't really acceptable for me in terms of football, because it's all driven by finance. It's all driven by finance.
Why can't you dream? You remember back in the day, when a club got promoted. The last one from memory that I remember spending massive and being like, ooh, I remember Fulham came up. And the owners spent like 150 million, and everyone's going, "Oh, what are Fulham going to do this season?" I mean, obviously they ended up going down that season, but it gives fans a little bit of hope. They go into the season and think, "Oh, we've signed this, this lad from La Liga, we've signed this lad from Serie A, we've signed this," and you're thinking, "Oh, I wonder what they're going to do. I wonder, how it's going to come." And going back to what we were saying before, boys, even if the Premier League said tomorrow, Newcastle go and spend $1 billion, Forest go and spend $1 billion, it doesn't guarantee success. Exactly. As we've seen with Chelsea, it doesn't guarantee success, but it just means that everyone's got an opportunity to try and compete, and that's all anyone wants.
We don't even want that amount of money.
No, we don't.
That's the thing. Like, it makes me laugh is that with the APT coming out, and Newcastle obviously been mentioned alongside Man City, but mostly Newcastle because it was brought in because of the takeover. Is that everyone in the media keeps making reference to, if Newcastle wanted to get a sponsorship for 150 million for their corner flag or for their like just some random thing in the stadium, it's like, hold on a second, that wouldn't happen because Newcastle United wouldn't do that. We're just looking to compete alongside everybody else, because this is the thing, all of these top 6 are so adamant to try and stop us, but they're the ones sitting on their ivory tower looking down at every other club, because you look at the revenues of every other club in comparison to those top 6, there's a huge gap. Even with Newcastle are the 7th place of the Premier League, for example, effectively in terms of revenue. You've got the top 6 there, and then you've got a gap of maybe 200, even 300 million between 6th place and Newcastle in 7th. How is that acceptable on any level? Like, that they can just expect that they can keep that gap there and it not change. and it not be allowed to change. It's absolute madness.
Mate, I would love you to sponsor your corner flag for 100 million. I'd love us to do it because nothing has annoyed me more, and I know I've said it on when we do our show on Tuesday, more than Chelsea selling their hotels to themselves and their women's team to themselves. Yet that's acceptable.
That's fine.
But if you guys went tomorrow with the APT rules being what they are, what have you, and you were able to sponsor a corner flag for 100 million, you watch that mainstream media come straight down your throat. Yeah, the Chelsea is, we'll see. You know, it's with the tribunal. Maybe it'll pass, maybe it won't. I mean, that's just black and white robbery. So go sponsor a corner flag for 100 million. Do it.
And do you know what? I forget who said it. I think, and Pete does tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think it was Kieran when he said, and he raised a great point when he said that, you know, some of the Carcel Six don't want this to happen, you know, where clubs can basically spend what they want, because then it will show up their inefficiencies. Because the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Man United, they don't want to go and have to spend. So say Newcastle and Forest went and bought 3 £50 million players. All Liverpool fans are going to be going, where's our 3 £50 million players? And obviously, you know, their ownership group would be like, oh no, you know, FSG will be thinking, don't really want to spend that. But then because all them are spending that, they're thinking, oh, we're going to have to, we've got to appease the fans. And then there's like a revolt because their club is not seen to be progressing. But Liverpool tomorrow could go and spend 100 million and still fall within the PSR limits, but they're choosing not to. And the problem is, if they open the gates, they know that their own fans will be going, why are Newcastle spending that? Why are Forest spending that? Why are Bournemouth spending that? And this is the problem, because the owners will then be put under pressure to spend money that they don't want to spend.
They have to do what Man United did, the Glazers did, and sell off a piece of Liverpool then.
Yeah, there's a common theme to that, though, is that the clubs that you've just mentioned, and this is part of what the argument's been for a long time now, is that those clubs are all American owned, and American clubs, knowing for the NFL and the NBA and all the rest of it, the American clubs, they buy something because they want to get profit, their own personal profit from it. Why do you think Man United fans are angry at the Glazers and now almost angry at Sir Jim? Because they're just filtering money out of the club. They're taking their dividends every year out of the club because it's an easy win. And it talks into what I've talked about earlier with regards to that bottom section of clubs that are really comfortable with just staying in the Premier League. Why? If you look at those ownerships, a lot of them are American owned.
Yeah.
And they're just happy staying in the Premier League because they get their guaranteed 100+ million a year. It means that their club is easily turned over. It means that they don't have to spend a huge amount, like you just said, to compete alongside any other team, because they don't have to. They can spend the minimum they need to, but ensure that they get that 100+ million every year, and that can just be banked into their own personal accounts. And this is what it is. This is why they don't like a Marinakis. This is why they don't like a PIF or an Abu Dhabi, because our clubs actually want to put money in to the club and into the transfers and actually sign players. And they don't like it for the points that you made, Chris, is that if they see us going and splashing out 60+ million on Alexander Isak, Arsenal fans are going to go, where's ours? Where's our striker? What have they been doing for the last year? We haven't got a striker. We need a striker. Where are they? Why have Newcastle got him and we haven't? And then that feeds into this narrative that, oh, Isak needs to come to Arsenal. He needs to come to Arsenal. This is why it all happens, because they see us doing something that they want. Don't think it won't happen to Sandro Tonali. Don't think it won't happen to Morello in the summer. Don't think it won't happen to, whoever, Morgan Gibbs-White, for example. It will all start to happen. Maybe. It will start to happen. All of this will start to happen because they'll see us spending money. I can see this, boys, and I know we want to get to the tactics board in just a second. I can genuinely see this summer Newcastle and Forest being some of the leading lights in that summer transfer window, and teams going flipping out, like owners going flipping out. We're going to have to spend because other clubs are going to be or the fans of our club are going to be looking around and thinking, why are we not doing what they're doing? And they're not going to like it at all. They're going
Pete, hang on. Go on, Des.
Can you see Forest gazumping us in the transfer market for a player that we talk about for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then Forest, because they're in the Champions League and we might maybe not be. What happens then? The alliance is out the window then.
We'll both be in the Champions League, bro.
You know what? I don't. I think it's a really good question, Daz, but I don't see it, because if you look at a lot of Forest signings, there are some of those signings that are sort of ready-made, more experienced players. Some are a little bit older. Chris Wood being an example of that. We are going to go for the younger player that's got the potential to be a world class, a bit like an Anthony Gordon and an Isak. We're going to look at that type of player. I think if Forest get Champions League, or when Forest get Champions League, I think you're going to go for experience. I think you're going to go for Champions League know-how. You're going to look at those players that have been there and done that can handle that atmosphere, that occasion to get you through. I think you're going to look at a different caliber. I could be wrong, but I just think you're going to look at a different caliber of player to Newcastle United, whereas we're going to look at players of an equal standing, but maybe have not got that experience of being there just yet, but have got the potential of being there. I just see it. I could be wrong, but I see it.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of
the alliance can stay strong. The alliance can stay strong.
I think what Forest model currently is to bring in players from South America. We got a massive kind of scouting network out there. That's why you've seen the likes of Murillo, Danilo, etc. Coming in. I think if we were to get Champions League, we would look at the Bundesliga market. I think it's one of the most underrated markets in Europe.
And Ligue 1.
Yeah, exactly. And you got players there who are coming across and doing well, like Marmoush being the most recent example of that, settling in really quick, coming from the Bundesliga. And Forest have looked at it, but not at Champions League level. When we first came up, we brought players from there. We brought Neo Karte and a couple of others from there who did okay when they came in. Obviously, he got injured early doors. So it'll be fascinating to see. But I can agree more with what you boys have said and all these points. You know, it's like something that annoys me still is the way that your boys were slandered when they were taken over. Oh, Saudi, oh, where's this money come from? Slave this, blood money, that. All just slander. All slander in terms of what's happened. You know, as Arab heritage myself, I don't like that. Saudi has its problems. Don't get me wrong. Don't tell me the Glazers are clean or FSG are clean, you know, with bringing this money in. And then when it comes to their exit plans, who do they think they can sell a United for or a Liverpool for? It's going to come from the Middle East. Look at when Man U were looking to do a full sale. Who was the one person in with the money? It was, what's his face? Qasim, the Sheikh there. Yeah, exactly. The Qatari money. I didn't hear none of the slave stuff there. Yeah, all the blood money and all this stuff. Yeah, suddenly when it's Man U, it was okay. So, yeah, it's just infuriating, boys. It really is.
Just before we move on, I did have a quick question for you, Wolfie. And because we're on this subject, I'll just ask you that quick. It's only a quick one. I wanted to ask, do you think with this allegiance we keep talking about, do you think that Newcastle and Forest could potentially do something in the summer in terms of player trading again?
I would love to see it. I think it was genius what we did. Obviously, I would say you guys got the hard end of the deal.
You always won. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but let's not forget Shelby, right? Let's not forget when we did buy Chris Wood, it was 19 million, and he wasn't that good at that time. No one knew he was going to turn into
19 million. Smith.
And let's not forget the players you've stolen from us in the past as well, right? JJ, Lascelles, Darlow. You know, all these players as well. So I'd say we're about even now. Wait, did JJ goes to Spurs first or to you? I'm pretty sure it's to you.
No, to us.
Yeah, that one hurt. So I think we'll do business, but I don't think it will be like in favor of one or the other. You could see a balance. You know, let's just say you're still interested in Elanga, and maybe you want Harvey Barnes gone because we want some midfield. So maybe you see something like that. I don't think Elanga will go. I'm just saying, like, as an example, I think it'll be more like for like.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna get Hugo Ekitike.
Yeah.
I think Forest.
That's a shout. That's a shout.
I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised. I think he'll come to the. I think he'll come to the Premier League. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys sign him. You need a striker. He is built for the frame of the Premier League. I'd be disappointed because he is looking a player at Frankfurt. But just a player I think you might well look at if you get Champions League.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, boys. So let's get into that bloody Champions League.
Yeah, well, let's see.
Let us win. Let us win it someday.
Yeah, look, you're already there, Wolfie. Look, just play your reserves on.
I'll give you 3 points here. We're done.
Yeah.
You know it makes sense. Right, let's get to the tactics board, boys. We've put the football world to rights. Let's get some. Let's get some
better, boys. I feel like we've got some stuff off our chest there.
Yeah, we have.
Absolutely. It's a bit like pub talk, isn't it? We just
straight.
And while you're at the pub, you buy a beer, and if you haven't bought us a beer yet, you should.
I love it.
Oh, the segue.
That was nice. That was sweet. There you go. There you go, Pete.
There you go. So if you haven't bought us a beer, having a bit of pub talk, then why not? Why not buy us a beer? We'd muchly appreciate it. But the teams, the squads here, I hope I've got everyone there. I apologize if I've missed anyone. But Wolfie, talk us through your 11. I know you were kind of and ahhing about potential formations and players in and out. You were talking about some players that maybe had stinkers against Fulham that could potentially be out of the team. What is your team that you think Nuno is going to put out?
For me, mate, I think he goes back to a 4-2-3-1. I think that's going to be the formation. The 3-4-3, well, a version of it worked really well against Brighton, stunk the place out against Fulham. So I think it goes to the 4-back. So it will be Sells and goal. That much I am certain of.
Okay.
I think there's Ola Einar at right back, number 34.
Yep.
And then I think he goes back to Milenkovic and Murillo. Milenkovic on the right, Murillo on the left of the two.
Okay.
And then Nico Williams, who he's come on leaps and bounds this season. He's really impressing me. I think that'll be the back four. The 6 and the 8 is where I'm not certain about. I'd love the Forest fans' opinions who are in the chat.
You said Danilo didn't play well on Saturday.
Danilo had a stinker, had an absolute stinker. He got hooked after 60 minutes. I don't think he starts this one. He's either going to go Ryan Yates or Sangare in the 6. I wouldn't choose Ryan Yates. I would go Sangare, personally. And then I would put Anderson alongside him.
Okay.
Again, thank you for Anderson. He had a bit of a stinker against...
Sorry, go on.
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say a little Anderson update for the Newcastle fans. Like, how's he been playing in recent games?
Let's take Fulham out of it. He's had a cracking season. He got his first goal the other week against Southampton. You could see like the real joy he had in that. It was a good finish as well from outside the box. He's been really good. You know what it is with him? He's like how can I describe it? He's a bit of a clumsy dribbler. It's like he's able to dribble his way through 2 or 3 men, and you think, how's this guy still in control of the ball? It's quite fascinating to watch. And he's got a great eye for a pass, and his work rates are phenomenal. I've been really happy with Anderson this season. And I think he might have been overused a little bit in the last few weeks. Obviously, they've had that Dubai trip and what have you. Let's not talk about that. But I'm very happy with Anderson in the 8. He has sometimes played him out left, where he played a bit at Newcastle, and a couple of times in the 10. I think his best position is the 8. I don't know what you guys think of him. Like, I know when we spoke about it pre-season, Pete, you said left was where Eddie played, but it wasn't really his position. How have you guys thought about him in the 8 now?
There's been talk of him getting an England cap. He's been doing so well this season. With us, when he was with us, he was just played all over the shop, and he was only getting a few minutes towards the end of matches. So it was hard to know where was his best position then. Maybe like number 10, but we didn't play with the number 10 then either. But
he played really well in the 10. He did it for 1 or 2 games. He was really good in the 10. You know what? Some have even said he can play the 6
He said in
because
an
of his work
interview
rates.
when he was with us, he said in an interview that his ideal position was a 10. But as Dad said, we don't play with a 10, so he never really had an opportunity to play in the position he probably wanted to. When he first came into the first team, he played on the left of the front three, but he never really kind of played well there when given the opportunity. So he would play on the left of the midfield three, a little bit where Joe Linton and Willock plays, which is why I said to you at the beginning of the season, Wolfie, is that he was never going to get in the team. So he was never going to get ahead of Joe Linton and Willock. Now, there's an argument to say that that's very different. He could have and probably would have got ahead of certainly of Willock, let alone Joe Linton. But yeah, I just wanted a little bit of an Anderson talk. It's still a little bit raw, so we'll move on swiftly. Talk us through the rest of your team.
Yeah, then it'll be Gibbs White in the 10, down behind Chris Wood, and then on the right, Elanga.
Yeah.
And Callum Hudson-Odoi was out injured, but he came back and he looked quite sharp for me against Fulham. So I think he'll come in on the left.
Okay.
And then, of course, Cristiano Wadinho up front. So that I think he goes back to that. My only contentious plays there is Sangare. I think it'll be either him or Yates. It could be Dominguez in there. But I just think Sangare needs to now make that position his. We've struggled with that 6th position, boys, ever since we've been back. I've not been happy with that position at all. I was really excited when Sangare came, but he's either been at AFCON or injured or jet lagged at some points as well. So it's been a position of deep frustration for me, and I don't feel anyone stepped up and made it their own. So yeah, I think it will be that. And there'll be Forest fans who can't stand Sangare, some who can't stand Yates. There's all kinds of agendas over that 6th position. I just need someone, I don't care who it is, man. Someone step up and make it yours. I'm hoping it's Sangare because he was our big money signing from last summer. But yeah, I think that's not going to be a million miles off the team, boys.
Right, boys. Let's have a look at the team. So I gave you a bit of an update with regards to the team news with Joe Linton and Botman. Botman a doubt, not necessarily out completely, but is a doubt. But what we going for this week? Any changes? Why is Lloyd Kelly still in there? What is going on here? You remember I got rid of him last week.
He doesn't want to leave, does he?
Yeah, you did. You did. You got rid of him. You did.
Rid of him last week.
He could be back. Chris, I'm going to defer to you because you take great pride in this, but I'm ready with the buzzer. And I'm going to say, even though Pete and the news is saying that Botman may not make it, Eddie. That's all I'm saying.
This is true. This is
that
true.
Hopium or
that's Hopium, yeah.
Do you know what, boys? I'm not gonna lie, I am really torn this week. And I think Pete will like this, but I don't know if Daz will like this. Anyway, I'll go with it. So I think Martin's Babka in goal. I'm going against the grain here, and some people will be screaming at home, going, "Why are you doing this when we're at home?" But I have grave concerns over that left centre mid position. I do, and I think for balance, this will be better. So I'll throw it on there, and then you tell me what you think, Daz. Okay, so I'm going to say left wing back, Lewis Hall.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to say right wing back, Tino Livramento.
Oh,
he's been very good this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's lost his place the last couple of weeks, but I think Eddie will put him back in, particularly against Callum Hudson-Odoi if it is him. And, you know, Forest are very quick on the wings, aren't they? So I
you
think
don't want Trippier.
Makes sense. Yeah. Now I'm going to say left centre back Dan Burn.
Okay.
Right centre back Emil Kraft.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to say centre back right in the middle is Fabian Schär.
Yeah.
I want it to be Dan Botman. And Daz, if you overrule me with Dan Botman, mate, if you overrule me with Sven Botman, I'm more than happy. But I was so confident on him the other week, and he didn't play. So I don't want to get stung twice. So I think it will be those three. In the two holding positions, Pete, which is natural, it's going to be Sandro Tonali on the left of the holding two and Bruno Guimaraes on the right side of the holding two. And then the front three will look very similar. I think it will be Anthony Gordon on the left, Jacob Murphy on the right, and Alexander Isak through the middle. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, boys, but I like I say, I have grave concerns over that left centre mid position. I don't want to see Joe Willock in there again. Louis Miley, is he ready for it in such a huge game and what we all know is a huge game? And will it be a case of let's not lose this game? Obviously, we want to win it, but we can't afford to lose it. And that's why I'm going 5 at the back.
Christopher. Okay, if first of all, I make one small change if we were going to stick with this formation. I know, Pete, you were all over this formation, but I'd want to see, I hope and pray that Botman is there, and I drop Schär from the performance against City.
So would you have Kraft in there?
Well, I know, if we're going with that formation, I'd probably stick with Schär, but Kraft is after getting the contract now as well. It just might send a message to Schär. I know Schär isn't far off getting a new contract too. I'd go with that. That's change one. But I don't think he goes with this, guys. And I know, Pete, you're all over this formation as well. We'll see in a minute. But I'd go with what did he say after the game? We need to go back to basics. Back to basics for Eddie Howe is 4-3-3.
Good point.
So you can leave Burn and Botman in there, take Schär off, please.
Can I just ask, boys, how many times has he gone back? He did it against Liverpool. Has he done it in the league? A back three.
He did it against Arsenal. He did it against Arsenal in the second leg, and then he effectively did it against Man City last weekend. But the personnel was wrong, which is what the boys are saying, is that we had Trippier right centre back and it just didn't work.
No.
And I'm bringing on, so you took Schär off, I'm bringing on Miley and giving Miley a shot. Kamali didn't do anything wrong. He didn't set things alight either, but I'm bringing Miley on. Maybe no, I kind of put him where Bruno is and put Bruno. Yeah, we can do it that way. Let's go that way.
Okay.
And Tonali there in between that Gibbs White and Wood there, just to kind of nullify the threat of Gibbs White. That's what I think he's going to go with, because that's if Botman is fit.
Yeah. Pete, what do you think?
In terms of the two setups, in terms of personnel, I can't argue for either. To be honest, if I'm going to go with a formation, if it was my personal opinion on the formation, I would revert back to the three at the back, and I'd have the two in midfield. I just think it would be better suited, and it was interesting actually, Wolfie, because your setup last week against Fulham was exactly that. You had three. You went three at the back, didn't you? Three at the back, almost two in midfield. 3 in the front line ish. So it could well be that we set up like that to combat Forest if you go with that again. You think you're going to revert back to type, don't you? You think you're going to go with back to the 4 at the back. So on the basis of that, we'll stick with this formation. Just because I think Newcastle will try and match up Forest. But I think it could well quite easily change to a 3 at the back. But I do think that is a formation, the 3 at the back, that could well work and is a formation that we use moving forward. I think it suits the players that we've got right now. And without Joe Linton in that midfield, we're not quite the same. So if the only change to this one, Daz, that I would go with is I'd be playing Bruno on the right, just because his link up in these little pockets here are really key. And I think whoever comes in has to, whether it's their most comfortable position or not, play on the left if we're going to play. Tonali and Bruno, I think, need to stay in their positions. They need to play and stay where they are best.
That's where Miley came on. He came on for Willock, so he came on that left hand side.
Yeah.
He did drift over. He did find his way over on the right hand side a few times, but that's where I would play him. I haven't got an issue with Miley starting in this game. I really haven't. Give him an opportunity. This is what it's all about. Willock played really well against Birmingham, but he was really poor against Man City. And people can say, "Oh, it is Man City," but I haven't got an issue with Miley starting. Don't be surprised to see Willock start though, because you know what Eddie Howe's like. He will stick to it, and he will want Willock to be given another opportunity to prove his worth. But I will quite happily stick with this because I think Miley does deserve an opportunity to start off the back of that. I'm 100% going Botman. 100% going Botman. I just hope he's fit. Because this, for me, is my centre-back pairing moving forward. If Botman is fit, I think Shaw really needs to kick up the backside. I know there's rumours that he's close to signing a new extension, but for me, that's an extension for him to become a squad player, not a first-team player moving forward. We definitely are in desperate need of a new centre-back to partner Botman long-term. So, Hall...
Does that change your mind at all on a 3 or a 4 if Botman's fit or not?
Yeah, I think if Botman's fit, I think I go 3 at the back. If you're asking me, if Botman's fit, I go 3 at the back. I just think we'll have far more control if that's the case. Because just for example, if we go 3 at the back, I think Botman will completely isolate or try and isolate Chris Wood. He'll almost go man for man with him because Chris Wood only plays in this area here. He
plays a lot deeper.
He will drop a lot deeper, but when the ball comes into the box, he'll play within this area, and that's where Botman was. And if you watch him against Arsenal, he mops up everything, so he'll be key in that particular position. And I think it will allow us to progress forward. You'll see Shaw coming into mark Gibbs White. It will allow Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes the opportunity to move forward. I just think that is the ideal formation, particularly if you've got a number 10 trying to find these pockets. Finding 3 at the back, I think it's harder for you guys to break us down, and we can hit you then on the counter. That's what I would go for. But I just think if Botman's not fit, he will revert back to the 2 at the back, and it'll be Burn and Shaw. But
from my perspective, I look at it and think I'd rather you played 3 at the back, if I'm being honest. I think you're leaving yourself light in midfield. If you played 3 at the back, I would want from a Newcastle point of view, I'd want one of those centre backs stepping out of that almost into that CDM role that allowed Tonali and Bruno to push up. Because one thing Forest won't do is try and win the midfield battle. We'll try and win it in and around the second third of our pitch. And if Botman is man for man in Chris Wood, that kind of falls into the Forest trap. Because what you'll find is that will then create that pocket for Elanga to fill in with his pace. Because he will come inside as well. I just would be more fearful if it was a 4-3-3. I think that's Eddie Howe's formation. I think that works. And I think it gives you that extra body in midfield. And I don't think you need 3 centre-backs against us in the style we would play away from home. I think it could be a mistake if you did.
The only thing I could see, I suppose, being the help with the 3 at the back, because I take what you're saying, Wolfie. Predominantly, your wingers are really potent and they like to cut in. And I think if you've got that Fabian Schär in behind Livramento, you've got Dan Burn in behind Lewis Hall. If you beat that wing back, you've then got that extra protection, and then obviously you've got Botman floating in the middle and hopefully being the backup. Obviously, he's got to keep an eye on Woods, as Pete said, but it just gives you that little extra where you go, okay, we're doubling up on him on those wingers.
But is it acceptable to do that at home for you guys.
Well,
against-
this is it. This is it.
Do you know what I mean?
This is
It's
It was,
I think a
you
lot
know,
of
not
fans
in the League
perceive
Cup.
a lot of fans perceive
Yeah.
3-back as being defensive, which it not isn't necessarily what it is.
And this is the thing. It looks at, you look at that formation now, and it does look incredibly defensive, but it's not, because what you'll find is
Agreed.
you'll see this, you'll see that in attacking phases. You will see that. You'll see
Sure, I had Isaac.
and you guys will be pushed back here, and look, it's a formation that I think can work. As you just said a second ago, it worked against Arsenal. It looks a very negative formation, but providing that the boys play to their maximum like they did against Arsenal, I think it's a formation that can work. The reason why I think it's good against what you've got there, and you've mentioned why would you have so many back, and that you've got these players coming in, is that what we're doing, we're narrowing the space that you can run into. These boys like grass to run into. They love space. They love time and space to run into. But if we're blocking off your entrances here and here, you're not going to get past. And if you do get past, you've got Shaw coming in there and you've got Burn coming in there. So if you do win areas into there, you've got these players that will come into those areas and will block the ball. So what it does, it narrows the space. It narrows the opportunities of getting the ball in that area. And what we will do, it's exactly what we want, Wolfie, and this is what we talked about on your preview, is that we want you to have the ball. If we're going to sit in, we're going to say, yeah, come with the ball. Come with the ball. You have the possession. You push your men forward. You push Elliot Anderson into there. You leave him exposed with one player, because when we win the ball, we're gone. And we're here. And we're here. And we're here. And can you, for 90 minutes, keep with us for that? Now, that's going to be incredibly hard, incredibly high amount of hard work that we're going to have to put in, both teams. But we've proven that we can do that, and we can play that position quite well. But what it means is on the counter, is that we're staying with 3 solid centre-backs that are going to come in, that are going to try and stop your counter. Because this time last year, when you played at St. James's Park, we didn't have enough players back to man that counter attack, and that's where you destroyed us on the transition. So
Burn got murdered, mate. Burn got murdered by Elanga multiple times.
And this is the thing. I think that formation, whether we do it or not, is a different thing. But that formation, I think, cuts off so many of your entries, but also it allows us to exploit you, because you don't like having the ball. You like opposition teams having the ball, and this formation allows you to feel that you've got the emphasis on us, and we can hit you the other end. Because I back these 3 all day with pace and final ball product to at least get a goal in this game, maybe 2, if we're going to play in that way. And so
I see it the opposite way, Pete. I don't see us having the ball, especially at St. James's. This is the thing where I think this back 3 gets unstuck. Because I agree with you. I can see Lewis Hall bombing up. Same with Livramento. You'll have probably Tonali as your deepest midfielder, but you're gonna end up stretching the width of the pitch between Dan Burns, Botman, and Shah, who aren't the quickest back 3 on our transition, on our counter attack. That would be my worry if I was a Newcastle player. Yes, this would work if you were against a possession-based team, but we're not. I think we got the lowest possession stats in the league. That's why I'm saying I would fancy us a bit more if you went with the back 3.
Isn't that the whole point, though? Is it that formation is allowing you to have the ball? It's almost giving you the ball.
But we won't take it. We'll just go, thanks, but no thanks. We'll chuck it straight back out. Trust me.
Nobody wants the ball.
We don't want the ball. We do not want the ball.
You'll be kicking it back to us.
No, Pete, I'm not even joking. All our goal kicks will be long. All you'll see Murillo going for 70-yard crossfield balls and things like that once they pulled you forward. There isn't any tiki-taka with Forest. This is my point. We'll happily punt the ball forward, try and get Chris Wood to win a 50-50. If he loses it, they'll fall back into their shape and then try and win the ball in and around the top of the Forest half. And if you're pushed up too high, that's where you could come unstuck. That would be my worry as a Newcastle fan. trust me, you'll never see as many long balls put forward from a goal kick as you will on Sunday themselves.
It's going to be interesting, but that's the
will be.
4-3-3 is the alternative. We match you up, and I think it'll be quite an even game. And look, it'll be whoever can counter attack more effectively than the other. You've got the pace to cause problems in behind. So have we. Just give us a weakness. Just give us a weakness from a Forest point of view where Newcastle could potentially get in, Wolfie.
Aerial, I'm getting concerned with the amount of corners we've conceded in recent weeks. We've been fantastic for the majority of the season. It was a huge weakness last season, which Nuno addressed with Milenkovic. This is why I want to go to back two, because Morato, as good as he is very weak aerially. Even with Milenkovic and Murillo, and you guys know how much I hype Murillo up, I still think he's a little bit weak in the air. Sometimes he'll get under a ball. So if you can spam some crosses in, as Fulham did against us, both their goals, if I'm not mistaken, came from crosses last week. Isak's very strong in the air. He should be able to create chances. If you try and tiki-taka around us, I don't think that's the right approach. I think eventually we'll win the ball and counter-attack. And then don't tell them. But that's how I would approach Forest. Spam some crosses in. Even if we head it away, you should have maybe a Bruno on the edge of the box to pick up the pieces or something like that. That's the weakness for us. But that defensive four is very good. You know, we've conceded 29 goals this season, 5 of which came at Bournemouth. So take those out. We've got one of the best defensive records in the league. But I do still worry about crosses and aerial threats.
Anything else, boys, tactics-wise, before we pull the board off?
The only thing I would add is I think it's huge on chances. I think the difference could be on who takes the chances. And I hate to say this, Wolfie, but I'm taking Isak over Woods every day of the week, and I'm hoping. I'm hoping, mate, and he hasn't scored in the last couple of games. So I'm hoping that he takes the opportunities when they come, and I firmly believe he will. And I think that'll be. I think the two big lads up top, I think they can make all the difference. Really do.
For me, the big difference here is Botman starting or not starting.
Yeah,
I think it all rides on that. Between us winning or a draw. I'm not even considering
if he's close, sorry to interrupt, if he's close to fitness, say 80-85%, is this not when the Carabao Cup issue comes into play?
I play it still.
Yeah, I know you would. I'm saying, do you think they think, right, if we risk him now and he does pull another muscle or picks up an injury, is it not safer in Eddie Howe's mind to think, you know what, another week, full fitness, another week in training guarantees him he's had some match time before the final?
If we don't pick up momentum again and get a bit of confidence back in and a few wins under our belt leading up to that cup final, I think we're going to lose anyway. So play the game that's in front of you. Just play the old Eddie Howe way. Play one game at a time. And that. Obviously, this is the next one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the one thing, Wolfie, in addition to that, is that we've got James Bunce now that oversees all the fitness levels of the players, and I think if Sven Botman is in the squad or in the team, he's ready to play. They are not taking chances on players like we were last season and previously. They're really monitoring the players and they are being looked after a lot more. So that'll be the thing. Is on Sunday for players in the team, there won't necessarily be risk. They'll be ready to play or ready to play at least say 60 minutes or 70 minutes, whatever it may be. They'll be good to go for a select period of time. So yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried on that. But it'll be interesting to see how things materialize on that, boys. I think we've got a couple of questions to throw to Wolfie before we come to predictions. I think
we have. Let's go to those. Let's go for this one from Foxy. A question for Wolfie. Dominguez to leave in the summer. Seems to always to be unlucky one to drop out of the starting lineup. Don't think he's let you down this season when he's played.
Yeah, he recently apparently put a post on Instagram with a picture of him and Sosa saying warming the bench, which he quickly deleted. So that's an interesting one. He's a good player. My thing is he's one of those work rate players, and he gets around the pitch, he's busy, wins the ball, but I need more end product from him. So at the start of the season, he would have been in my starting lineup. Right now, he's good, but doesn't quite have that extra bit. He's got those work rates, but I want a bit more out of him. Could he leave off that Instagram post? Maybe.
Shout out to Jordy Mick, who I haven't seen in the chat for a while. Great to have you with us, Jordy Mick. And he says hello to everyone as well. So nice to Jordy Mick. Give her off great hugs from 2 years ago in Newcastle. Right. Wolfie, you mentioned earlier Man United to get relegated. If that is the answer, what is the question? It's Sophie's question. What would be a perfect summer for you, Wolfie, and the loaded lads?
Forest win the league, United and Spurs to get relegated, Derby and Luton to get relegated from the Championship, and Brentford to go bust, and they're just starting to annoy me as well.
Where were you finishing, Wolfie?
Brighton.
We'll win the league.
Would you give that to Brighton there, Wolfie? No.
I mean, Brighton don't even cross my mind. Do you know what I mean? They're so insignificant. Bournemouth to go bust, not Brighton.
I was going to say, you said Brentford. I was thinking you were going to say Bournemouth.
Yeah, I meant Bournemouth. Sorry. I just doing my head in. What did I say? I meant Bournemouth. Yeah. Oh, you mean signings?
Yeah,
striker.
Signings.
Striker, 100%. We need. What I would like is a young striker between 21 and 23. I think Chris Wood's got another 6 months in him next season, and I want someone ready to come through. I don't think Forest can go and buy, someone who's in their prime, because how would they get in the team with Chris Wood on his form? But I want some understudy to come through. We definitely need another number 6 and another goalkeeper. Sells is fantastic, but the backup, I'm not so convinced on him.
Hey, we've got some fella called Blacademos if you want him.
Yeah, there's a little receipt on that one. Is what you're saying. Refund 30-day policy.
I mean, you got like that giant that's about 8 foot tall.
Miguel, he had a
stinker,
man. He had a stinker against Exeter. I don't mind him. I think some of the Forest fan base were hard on him. Ant, who's in the chat, I think if he got a run in, but I just think once their keeper's confidence goes, I've seen it too many times. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't come back for a while, and you can't risk that in the Premier League. So yeah, Boniface, I wouldn't say no to.
Oh, you're gonna get Boniface, aren't you? Oh,
I wouldn't say no.
You're gonna sign him. I said Ekatike, but you're gonna get
Garassi. Yeah, Garassi would be decent.
Nah, you're not getting Garassi. Not from Dortmund.
We were this close to Omar Marmoush, man. This close, 25 mil in the summer.
Oh, Jesus.
And this close as well to Santiago Jimenez. But also, we were this close to signing Eddie Nketiah. So, before you think our recruitment is all
Boniface, I know you are. You're going to get Boniface.
You want him, don't you, Pete?
I do. He's definitely leaving in the summer as well. I'd love him. I'd love him alongside Isaac.
Okay, next question. Freud81 says, I often hear you say that Isaac is the best striker in Europe. Why don't you say the world? Are there players outside Europe? Freud, you need to talk to Foxy. He'll tell you all about players outside of Europe. But
so true. It's a good point, though, isn't it? We always say that, don't we? Best striker in Europe. But maybe it's because, I don't know, you think of the top leagues in the world, don't you? And you think Germany, Spain, Italy, France. So you say Europe, don't you? But yeah, it's a good point, Farden. Good point.
Saudi.
Europe is the world.
Saudi. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's one of. I mean, if anyone watched Kylian Mbappe last night, I mean, Mbappe's been getting so much stick in the early parts of the Real Madrid. He's finished. He's not good. He's shit. He's this, that, and the other. He just needed time to settle in, and what you're seeing, he just dismantled City yesterday.
Did you see the shit house theory where he slid at him?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I loved it.
But it's just genius. Like who can maneuver like that in such a tight space against Man City, and then just with ease to slot it into that bottom corner? Like he is top class.
Is he better than Isak?
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe is better than Isak.
Vinny Jr.?
He just is. Like, and he's been doing it for so much longer. But Isak this season he for me, he's on that level. He's on that level, but he needs to do it. He needs to be consistent. So he's had a couple of games where he hasn't scored. Sunday he needs to put that right. He needs to put that right.
Yes. Fire us into the Champions League. We can't get rid of this guy now. City Luke TV. Thanks for joining us again, Luke.
He's signed. Luke signed off for a little bit. He's I think struggling with his mental health. So I hope you're well, Luke. I hope things are good. And yeah, drop us a message if you need to chat about anything. But yeah, I did see some. I did see a couple of posts from him today. So yeah, hopefully he's well.
You're always welcome on here, Luke. That's the message for we go with as well. This one from David Toffey. This is a Newcastle related one, and he says, "Anyone know who the Leyton Orient kid that is joining, according to Craig Hope?" And I have the name. It is Lucas Flack. Seems to be is he 14 or something like that?
Yeah, so he's a goalkeeper. So basically,
goalie, yeah.
A 14-year-old goalkeeper that we signed in there. They threw him straight into the academy competition. I think it was either today or yesterday that Arsenal put on, and he got given goalkeeper of the tournament. And Newcastle in the 14s won the tournament. It's either today or yesterday, but yeah. So it's been a whirlwind for him. He's signed for Newcastle and then got thrown into that tournament, but had an absolute stormer. Apparently, it was unreal. So we've potentially, fingers crossed, signed another gem. So
would it be fair to say he's ahead of Lacademus already in the pecking?
He'll be on the bench.
Yes, he is, and he's one we need to get out the door this summer. Like, yeah. Dubravka's staying, of course. Pope is up in the air, most likely to go. Gillespie's contract's out. Rudy's contract's out. Lacademos, we wish his contract was out, and it's not. So we've got some decisions to make.
Last comment for the chat, and it comes from Martin Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure that's his real name. He says, "Long live the Alliance." It'll start again after top table talk, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's finish on some predictions. I'll get mine out the way first. I think it's going to be a relatively close game, but I think Newcastle are going to win, and I think we're going to win 2-1. That's going to be my score prediction for today. Let's go to Daz. Go on, Daz. What's your score prediction?
I'm also 2-1 if Botman plays, 1-1 if he doesn't play, but he's going to play. So 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay. Chris, go for it. What we're going for?
I'm going to say 2-0, clean sheet.
Okay, sheets. Dubravka getting a sheet.
Yeah.
Big call. It's a big call.
Big man, Dubravka.
Yeah. We'll see. Wolfie, let's finish on the Forest fan. What you going
You already
for?
know we've done this. I don't need to repeat it.
Well, the loaded chat need to know your prediction. Well,
then they can go and watch our preview, Pete. Like, they need some more entertainment. It's live on the channel. Say it, Pete.
You could be saying the wrong prediction, so I need to know that you're saying the same prediction. Say that again.
2-0 Newcastle.
Hang on. Say that again, Wolfie.
If you want to hear me say it again, go watch the preview. It's live on the channel. Now I got all the Forest fans turning on me in the chat.
Dennis is not impressed. Not impressed
pissed,
at
man.
all.
Wolfie.
For anyone that
I'm
didn't hear
impressed,
what Wolfie said, he said Newcastle win 2-0. Now, this could be, boys, this could be the old classic, playing it down. LB did it. He predicted the 2-1 Newcastle win. Is this the old kind of classic? Yeah, we're not going to win, but really, I think we are going to win. One of those ones. We'll wait and see.
Oh, wait, you know what, Russell? You're right. I need to go back to predicting 0-0. Yeah, I'm changing my mind. 0-0. Every time I've said 0-0, Forest have won. 0-0.
Unfortunately, we can only pick the first answer.
Yeah, you nailed it now. That's it. Sorry.
Well, actually, it's your third answer because on your preview, you also said Newcastle 2-0. Now you've said it again.
Yeah, there was an issue with editing on that one, Pete. All right.
But look, the predictions are in, people. I think we're going round the houses on a Newcastle win, so hopefully the boys turn up, and they are going to need to because it's not going to be an easy game. But
my subscriber count has dropped by like 20,000.
But it will soon rise with Newcastle United fans thanking you for your prediction. Hopefully, because we win and your prediction comes true.
Oh,
Newcastle win 2-0.
Sophie, can you stop watching my stuff? Because I did it on the predictor already on my other channel. Just stalking me. I've already done it on there, Sophie. Already done it.
Wolfie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming in, joining us on your preview, and on our preview, should I say. But let everyone know where they can find you and where we can find your preview to this match on Sunday, mate.
Yep, Forest Fan TV. It's up and it's live. Me and Pete sat down. I had a coffee, he had a beer. You can get him another one, by the way, with the link that's pinned in the chat, right? Show them some love. Yeah, go check it out. I'll be doing the watch along as well on Sunday. So yeah, if you want to go in, you boys aren't doing a watch along, right? So I'm not nicking any viewers there, right? So if you want to do a watch along, have a bit of banter. Hopefully I'm wrong on my score prediction. Yeah, come down, show us some love, and make sure you're showing these boys love. Honestly, there's loads of nice guys on YouTube, but these boys are right up there. It's always fun just to sit down and you forget you're in front of the camera. It just feels like we're in a pub, mate, having a chat about football. That's what I love about it.
We haven't gone this long on a preview for a long time.
Bloody hell, we've nearly been 2 hours.
Yeah, but the fact that we pretty much nearly did an hour before the tactics board because we were just talking football,
shit.
which is what makes a really good chat. So
there's a bit of history here.
In 8 minutes. Gotta have a chat with him.
Pete once did a 6-hour away day show, I think, on his own for 3 hours of it.
On his own.
He got on a hand. He just
long time ago, man.
Before the kids, mate. That was pre-kids day.
No, it wasn't actually, but no, it was still a long time ago.
Because of the kids, he needed 6 hours.
The sun was coming up. Radio, that's it. Good luck to Nottingham Forest after Sunday, of course, and we'll be talking to you on Top Table Talk next week.
Oh, crap. About that.
So yeah, they also, who will be the first to buy loaded a beer? That is the question. Ooh. We'll leave it there. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Wolfie, again. See you in the next one.
My pleasure, boys.
Bye-bye.
sir.